In Palestine, the United Nations denounced that the Israeli restrictions on the entry of humanitarian aid amounts to a deliberate starvation tactic. In Venezuela, President Nicolas Maduro denounces that the far-right's conspiracy plans to undermine social peace in the country. And in Russia, President Vladimir Putin announced that the Ukrainian regime, with Western support, has begun to use service methods. Hello, welcome from the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the TeleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. The United Nations denounced that Israeli restrictions on the entry of humanitarian aid to the Gaza Strip may amount to a deliberate starvation tactic which could constitute a war crime. This was stated on Tuesday by the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, Volker Turk, when referring to the risk of a famine in the Palestinian enclave. He also pointed out that Israel, as the occupying power, has the obligation to guarantee the supply of food and medical care to the population. The statement came a day after UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres noted that more than half of the 1.1 million Gazans are on the brink of starvation. Meanwhile, the population of Gaza Strip waits for long hours to get some food. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said he had told U.S. President Joe Biden that a ground invasion of Rafah is necessary to overthrow the Palestinian resistance group Hamas.
We have an argument with the United States about the need to enter Rafah. Not about the need to eliminate Hamas. The need to enter Rafah. We see no way to eliminate Hamas militarily without destroying these remaining battalions. We're determined to do it.
The Detainees and Ex-Detainees Affairs Commission and the Palestinian Prisoners Society say that the Israeli occupation authorities are pursuing a policy of rearresting and targeting ex-detainees. According to the two organizations, the escalation of the arrest has brought the number of detainees to 13, 11 of whom are still in Israel. Among those arrested again are 3 Palestinian minors from Nablus, Jenin, and Ariha in the occupied West Bank, while simultaneously 4 young Palestinians from Ariha and Ramallah were put back in administrative detention for another 4 to 6 months. The ongoing detention campaigns have reportedly been accompanied by escalating violations, including brutal beatings and assaults, threats against detainees and their families, and the destruction and vandalism of citizens' homes and property. Non-governmental organizations announced in a report on Tuesday that Israeli forces have detained 61 journalists since October 7, 2023. The report said among the detainees are 3 women, while 23 reporters are being held under Israel's undeniable policy of administrative detention without indictment or prior trial. According to other reports, the number of journalists killed in attacks by Israeli forces exceeds 120, almost 10% of the total, considering that the union has around 1,300 communicators. On the other hand, it has also been denounced that Israeli forces have repeatedly demolished the media institutions in Gaza to make it impossible to spread the reality of the aggression in that Palestinian territory. The Canadian Parliament passed a non-binding motion calling on the international community to work toward a two-state solution to resolve the conflict between Israel and Palestinians. According to the news agency Reuters, the vote had been delayed by last-minute wrangling over wording supporting Palestinian statehood, an idea that looked set to deepen splits inside the ruling Liberal Party. The amended motion was passed by 204 votes to 117 against, after most of the Liberal cabinet and caucus voted in favor. The initial version called on Canada to officially recognize the State of Palestine, a step that no member of the group of 7 industrialized nations has taken. Let's take now a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at TeleSUR English, where you will find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. Other stories coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back from the South. In Venezuela, President Nicolás Maduro denounced the far-right conspiracy plans to undermine social peace in the country. During the first meeting of volunteers for the transformation of the future, President Maduro affirmed to have evidence that far-right sectors are once again planning to destabilize the country. The Venezuelan head of state called for social organizations and coordination, describing it as the key to achieve national peace in the face of imperialist conspiracies. Also in Venezuela, on Tuesday, the prosecutor's office revealed progress in the investigations over the assassination attempts against President Nicolás Maduro. In this sense, the Attorney General Tarek William Saab submitted an update on the case where extremists were planning assassination acts after the arrest of a second person involved. The investigation revealed the recruitment of a group of people with a plan by former classmates of the military academy. The prosecutor underlined that the plot consisted in recruiting 50 army deserters to take tanks and the weapons depot of a military compound aimed at carrying out a coup. The government official informed that in view of the evidence gathered against the accused, they cannot qualify as politically persecuted citizens.
I have been denouncing the plan of violence, of imperialism and their allies. Their only plan is to destabilize Venezuela, to fill it with violence, and they are preparing for the guarimba. Keep your eyes open in your blogs. In your streets, in your community. We have to win peace before, during, and after the elections of July 28th. Win peace before, during, and after. Win against the extremists, against their puppets and the oligarchy. Before, during, and after. Always win. Win peace, win life, win the homeland.
Former chief of the Chilean investigative police, Sergio Muno, was placed in preventive detention while being investigated for an alleged corruption case involving senior officials of the country. According to the media, the highest police authority in Chile filtered the proceedings and investigations in cases of corruption, embezzlement, bribery, and influence peddling, even to benefit former President Sebastián Piñera, when controversial transactions such as the Dominga Mining Company were investigated. The former director of the police has been prosecuted for breaking the secrecy of different laws, remaining in preventive detention. In this context, Munoz has been involved in the so-called Audios case, which the press uncovered by revealing a conversation between several influential lawyers about irregular payments to officials of the Internal Revenue Service and the Financial Market Commission in exchange for inside information. In Peru, the Public Prosecutors Office launched an investigation against President Dina Boluarte for alleged illicit enrichment. The judicial body said an investigation was opened after the president admitted being the owner of a Rolex watch that she has been seen wearing on several occasions. The investigation also involves the possible crime of omission to declare in documents, since it seems that Boluarte did not declare the expensive garment among her assets. The prosecutor's office had already opened an investigation against the head of state for the crime of genocide during the social mobilizations that took place between December 2022 and January 2023, resulting in the death of at least 50 citizens. In Haiti, more than 16,000 people left Port-au-Prince in the last 7 days to take refuge in the provinces amid the escalation of violence in the Caribbean country. According to data from the International Organization for Migration, the evacuation of about 16,947 Haitians from the capital took place between March 8 and 14th. Most of the displaced went to the department of Grand Sud, which sheltered more than 116,000 people who fled in the last few months. The city of Port-au-Prince is controlled by gangs who cut off food, fuel, and water supplies and also destroyed 4 power stations, affecting the quality of life of citizens. In Cuba, the second day of the third edition of the Patria International Symposium, which is being held at the Pavespo Fairgrounds in the city of Havana, continues. The event welcomes more than 100 guests from 30 countries and seeks to consolidate digital political communication and the sovereign development of technologies that promote communicative progress in the nation. The president of the Union of Journalists, Ricardo Ronquillo Bello, was in charge of the welcome and highlighted that articulation is essential for unity and that both victories and setbacks in the network force them to be united. Therefore, the event seeks to broaden new horizons on the eve of a digitalized global order protected by an already limited mass communication culture, but with other ways to promote the development of ideas. President Miguel DiazCanel visited the stand of TeleSUR, multinational agency, at the third edition of the Patria International Symposium, alongside Prime Minister Manuel Marrero and other political and government leaders. The Cuban head of state toured the fair accompanied by the technical and journalist staff of TeleSUR, where he highlighted the activity of communication platform in providing voice to the people from the South. The president emphasized topics treated in the international symposium as action tools and new technologies. At the meeting, DiazCanel talked about global issues such as the genocide in Palestine, the violence in Haiti, and the acts of imperialism that seek to impose sanctions on the people of the world. On Tuesday, during the second day of the Patria International Symposium, in an exclusive interview for TeleSUR, Cuban President Miguel DiazCanel highlighted the importance of facing imperial hegemony from the communication field through the creation of alternative content.
I think that we, above all, we have to overcome so much evil, so much perversity, so much predominance of an imperial hegemony that what multiplies are anti-values, that is constantly trying to change the mind of people, manipulating the mind of people, and that has caused that in the world, what is being practiced is the language of war, of the sanctions, of the blockades, of the impositions, and that goes against the idea that Fidel had, which was an emancipatory idea, that a better world was necessary and was possible. And that's why I think it's very important the presence here of left-wing ideas representatives from communication, from political communication, from social communication, to see how we all articulate, how can we get on those perverse platforms of cultural domination, of hegemonic domination, how we take advantage of them and how we enhance them with our content.
In this context, the Cuban president also referred to several moments that the world is going through. DiazCanel focused on his comments on two of them: the genocide committed by Israel in Gaza against Palestinians and the political, social, and economic crisis that Haiti is experiencing.
I would refer to two in particular. One, what is happening in Gaza, which is an extermination. It is a genocide, which is executed by the government of Israel, but behind the government of Israel is the support of the U.S. We even see the position of the government of the U.S. in the Security Council and how its veto strengthens the attitude of Israel against the Palestinian people. It is an extermination, it is a genocide, and we have to try to stop it. It is enough that the bombs are sounding, and what is needed is that the voices of the people suffering from this genocide be heard. And of course, Cubans will never tolerate it. Cubans will continue to vigorously condemn what is happening. We will not become mere spectators of the slaughter that is occurring in Palestine. And the other one is Haiti, here in a region, a country, a people that has suffered the glory of having led the first revolution in Latin America and the Caribbean, and then has lived under the sign of invasions, domination, dependence, and have plunged that people into the most extreme poverty.
We have a fun short break coming up, but before we invite you to join our WhatsApp community for our English-speaking audience. You can scan the QR code on screen to join directly and share the link to reach more people. Constant news coverage of Latin America and the Caribbean as well as the rest of the world. Stay connected and informed with TeleSUR. Fun short break, don't go away. Welcome back from the south. In Russia, President Vladimir Putin denounced that the Ukrainian regime, with the support of the West, has begun to use terrorist methods. The Russian president urged to strengthen anti-terrorism efforts and called for coordination with other security agencies and the National Anti-Terrorism Committee to confront the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Putin also warned that the U.S.-led military alliance has great financial, technical, and informative capabilities. The Russian head of state alerted the Federal Security Service about the attempts of Ukrainian sabotage groups to enter Russian territory. Putin called to find those involved in such groups and to strengthen the combat capabilities and equipment of the land and maritime border guards.
The neo-Nazi Kiev regime, again with the support of the West and often on their direct instruction, switched to terrorist methods. These are shelling of peaceful cities, attempts on the life of government officials and public figures, attempts to recruit perpetrators of sabotage and terrorist attacks at criminal Russian infrastructure facilities and in places where people are in large numbers. Let me also remind you of the recent, frankly speaking, provocative statement by a number of officials Western structures about the possibility of terrorist attacks in Russia. All this resembles outright blackmail and in intention to intimidate and destabilize our society.
In northwest Nigeria, armed gangs attacked two villages over the weekend and seized at least 100 people from their homes. This event now is the latest mass abduction in the region. The gunmen attacked communities in Kaduna State, the area where nearly 300 school children were abducted less than 2 weeks ago. The abductions have been blamed on bandit groups known for mass killings and kidnappings in Nigeria's northwestern and central regions. Most of the bandits were previously herders in conflict with local communities. Security forces, meanwhile, are yet to provide any public update on the rescue operations, as the government has ruled out the payment of ransoms in the operation to free the children. A new report from the International Labour Organization has found that the total amount of illegal profits from forced labor has risen by 37% since 2014, a dramatic increase that has been fueled by both a growth in the number of people forced into labor as well as higher profits generated from the exploitation of victims. The ILO report, called Profits and Poverty, the Economics of Forced Labor, estimates that traffickers and criminals are generating close to $10,000 per victim. Total annual legal profits from forced labor are highest in Europe and Central Asia, with $84 billion, followed in decreasing order by Asia and the Pacific, the Americas, Africa, and the Arab states. The report stresses the urgent need for investment in enforcement measures to stem illegal profit flows and hold perpetrators accountable. It recommends strengthening legal frameworks, yet it states that forced labor cannot be ended through law enforcement measures alone, and enforcement actions must be part of a comprehensive approach that prioritizes addressing root causes and safeguarding victims. The year 2024 will host a much more intense hurricane season than that of 2023, the World Meteorological Organization warned on Tuesday. The organization's representative for North America, Latin America, and the Caribbean, Rodney Martinez, said that conditions for 2024 would not be as benign for the region as they were in 2023. During a meeting of the Hurricane Committee of the Regional Association in Panama, the experts said that for the season beginning in June, there is an environment for cyclones to increase. Martinez said that when the Pacific is cold, hurricanes tend to become more frequent in the Caribbean, and it seems that this condition could occur in 2024. The 2023 hurricane season that ended in November left a balance of 20 named storms and 7 hurricanes, 3 of them of major category. In Honduras, firefighters continue to work to put out a strong wildfire that has been raging since Monday in the surroundings of La Tigra National Park, near the nation's capital. The national government sent a squadron of helicopters with Bambi bucket fire suppression systems to prevent the spread of the flames in the area. Honduran President Xiomara Castro sent a message of encouragement to the teams and institutions working against the strong wildfire. The president also affirmed that all those involved in setting the fire will face justice. In France, the public transport company for urban areas of Paris has developed a voice recognition translation app for its staff that instantly transcribes and translates speech in several languages. The app, which costs €2 million, is called Tradivia. can translate into 16 languages, including English, German, Mandarin, Hindi, and Arabic. The two latest additions are Romanian and Dutch. The tool is also used for passenger information announcements during line incidents. The RATP network will be put to the test with the 15 million viewers expected in the Paris region for the Olympic and Paralympic Games. RATP's Director of Customer Experience, Valerie Gaidot, said that they had a real problem because the agents did not have the capacity to respond to all the customers' languages. But now with the app, everything is much easier. We have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.